Time is the coin of the realm in Washington. Everything is controlled by time. Congress decides how much time they're going to spend debating an issue, how much time until a particular situation expires, how much time we will take until the next recess. Time is critical. Most people don't recognize how important it is, and then they give it away without really thinking about its value. The 8-minute rule of messaging is a surefire way to land your message in any Washington audience. I don't care if it's with a big prime, an agency in any department of government, or in Congress. If you can go into that audience and command 8 minutes to convey your issue, what's the problem, the background, how did we get here, the discussion, what does your solution make more sense, and then a recommendation specifically that says, if you put this amount of money on this budget line to do this thing in this amount of time, you'll get to a different result. When you can convey your issue that tightly in the course of 8 minutes, you've done something that very few people do. You've respected the audience. You've used what should have been a 20 or 30-minute block of time that you were probably provided for the appointment, and you just gave time back to that audience. So what does that mean? It means you're going to get to come back, because you didn't just go in there and grind them down and fill the clock and get to the 31-minute mark and then say, oh, I have one more thing. You didn't try to tell them everything you know. You told them what they needed to know, and you did it in 8 minutes. It makes you a hero. I coach clients. I've said it before, I love salespeople. They love to talk about their product. When I was a sailor, we loved to put sailors in front of audiences because they love to talk about what they do. But they talk too much, and they oversell. And you don't need to oversell. You need to sell with precision, and you need to tell your story with precision. So I will sometimes have a senior executive make the presentation to me or to a colleague, or I will demonstrate for them how this message should be told. And then we'll play it back so that they can see it. And when you see your own words, sometimes you're surprised by how many words you used, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody sometimes. But when you practice this such that it's not your first time delivering it, it can come off very naturally, and you can present a very complex message in a very tight way. In Congress, the white paper is how complex messages are shared among personal offices and among committees. A white paper is a single sheet of paper that describes exactly what it is that you're trying to influence. So just like in the 8-minute message, there's an issue, there's a background, there's a discussion, and a recommendation. Those 4 parts, doesn't matter what the subject is. I say it could be staplers and it could be submarines. It doesn't matter. The audiences in Congress are dealing with so many different issues on any given day. They need to be able to say it in a very succinct way and share it with audiences who may not be expert in the subject matter. But they don't need a 16-page PowerPoint deck. They don't have the space to store it. They don't have the time to go through it. It needs to be told in a single sheet of paper. When you can present your story on a single sheet of paper and then tell it in 8 minutes, you will win the day every time. A company can create a white paper on their own. I have examples of it in my books. However, we sometimes are too close to the problem to be able to describe our capability in an objective way. And so, because I'm not a technical expert on what it is you might be selling, I'm a process expert on the government process. Because I'm not a technical expert, I can ask questions and make sure that this is really understandable at the appropriate level. So your audiences are quite smart in Congress and in the executive branch. But they might not be expert at what it is that you have to offer, or what your technology is. And so it has to be stated in a simple enough way. I've seen enough of these over time, and I've received enough of them from other companies who are, either trying to position something in front of me, that I can help guide a company to a very tight message. So I offer a couple of ways to help clients. I offer that clients can just access me for my expertise, and I can guide them from a distance. I can also help them organize a plan and help them execute their plan. And the value of that is, if I'm in the room, I understand what wasn't said. Because when you go to Washington, nobody will tell you no. You will never hear the word no from any audience that you visit. You will be left feeling like, wow, that was a pretty good meeting. But you might have missed that something wasn't said. And I can typically pick up on what was said or what wasn't said. I've been in enough rooms where I know how to read the room. I can see how that body language is coming across, what the level of engagement is. And if you're there presenting your story, you're not dialed in like that. You can't see it. I've been with very senior leaders in Congress, in the executive branch. I've been around the world at the ministerial level. I've seen high-level negotiations take place. I've been a part of it in a way that I had this synthesized experience to understand what wasn't said. An advantage of orchestrating a day on Capitol Hill, for example, is that you can visit with multiple offices across the House and the Senate that might have a common interest in your issue. And I like to take a senior executive into that setting because it's important for them to see that they really can access this process. It does require a little bit of shepherding to get them to the right place at the right time, and to be comfortable enough in the setting so that they're ready for the moment and they don't blow the opportunity. But when you tell the story 10 times back to back to back to back to back like that, you get pretty darn good at telling your story. And after the first one or the second one, you fall into a rhythm. If I've heard a CEO tell their story 3 times, I can tell that story for them probably as well as they can.